In today's episode, we are going to be discussing clone troopers versus stormtroopers versus First Order troopers.
We're going to be providing you with so many fun facts before we dive into which trooper is the best.
This and more on the key to all of this. Tim, you want to get right into fun facts.
Yes,
you said
that's
that
right.
You've got about 8 and I had 2.
I know it's one lopsided, but did you know that Lando Calrissian was originally meant to be a clone from a planet of clones that waged war on the Jedi? This was the original plan for The Empire Strikes Back.
And Lando wasn't originally going to be like his character at all, right? He wasn't supposed to be like suave or whatever.
No, he was supposed to be
just the name.
Literally a clone. So I think that George Lucas was going to delve into the whole Clone War subplot in this in Empire Strikes Back, and I'm happy to say that he didn't, because the smoothest talking smuggler, aside from Han Solo, I mean, was a quintessential part of the original trilogy.
Yeah, that would have been a huge change to Empire, where everyone says Empire is probably like the best of all the movies. It would have been interesting to see how they would have gone with that instead of what we ended up with.
Yeah, I think that originally Clone Wars was just like, what's a cool thing we can say in New Hope? And then George Lucas was like, well, I probably have to, let me do my best voice. Well, I probably have to figure out what that means.
I probably got to figure out what they mean.
It's very sing-songy. He's an amazing alto. But yeah, so I think they glad they went in for direction and saved it for the prequel when it's kind of more appropriate.
Oh yeah, and they could span it out between 3 movies, an animated movie, 6 seasons of a show, and then the drawn Clone Wars animation from 2004, 2003, around then.
Yeah, they probably have the most airtime of all the characters when you think about it in terms of like hourly footage.
Yeah.
So what about you? Do you have a fun fact about the clones?
So I have a fun fact that is common knowledge with most people, but it's something that I want to talk about that I thought was really interesting because with Clone Troopers, but also with the Book of Boba Fett just ending, to this day, there still hasn't been physical clone armor in Star Wars. Even in the Book of Boba Fett of Grogu's flashback, all CGI.
Really? That's not a one instance of a live clone, a trooper a clone trooper that has actual physical armor.
Yeah, it was all CGI'd through the movies, and then in Book of Boba Fett, where everything is practical effects, flashback is still in CGI.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I kind of wish I could CGI my clothes right now. I'd save a lot on laundry, but also spend a lot on CGI effects.
Yeah. I think if you saved all of the money that you spend on clothes and paid someone to do CGI of what you're actually wearing, you would probably want to just keep the clothes.
I'm gonna call ILM and see if they offer such a deal for like a laundry service deal.
When it comes to my outfits, I like to go practical effects.
Yes.
I like the feel of the fabric. I meant like a shirt, a real shirt. Practical shirt.
Very practical. Yeah, I mean, hopefully one day we'll get to see them in real form. I think we could be close to that.
Yeah. But I also think it's interesting if we never do, because that's now just like a running thing. If they were going to do practical effect clone trooper armor, they would have done it in Grogu's flashback in Book of Boba Fett.
The one thing I did realize, read that technically the Stormtrooper armor, when they switch over to the Imperial Stormtroopers, that armor was designed for clones and then repurposed for for the regular conscription
Hmm.
Imperial troopers. But yeah, one more fun fact about clone troopers is that Jedi General Tiplar initially discovered that there was an inhibitor chip, behavioral modification chip, in the clones, and before Darth Sidious was ready to give execute Order 66,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, Clone Trooper Tup executed him because his chip malfunctioned, and he received the order through that. So
Oh,
the
wow.
secret died with him before the great Jedi genocide.
Yeah. I was
Jedi-cide.
also, yeah. I was also reading, so this is just to tack on to what you said, is if you kind of rewatch Revenge of the Sith, there's so many hints that everyone knows that Sidious is bad. And I think a lot of them do feel like he might be the Sith that they're looking for, like
Hmm.
very early on. But it's not the Jedi way to not like have evidence and like trial and everything. So they could have ended things
Yes,
immediately, but instead they wanted to take him to court.
I know when he is, the Pablo Escobar of Sith Lords and can
Hmm.
basically buy his way out of any kind of, legal situation. Um,
Yeah.
Also, he's a Sith Lord. Like the Sith Lords is gonna sit there in a trial, and put on the bloody glove in front
Hmm.
of the jury. Like, no, he's going to
In a little
force
orange
force
jumpsuit,
lightning.
just
Yeah, exactly.
tapping his fingers on the desk.
Yeah.
Get this
Um,
over
get this
with.
over with. Yeah. Oh, that sounded very Robert Durst of you. I feel like out of
Same
all the
thing.
mass murderers, Robert Durst could play a
Is
good
your
Palpatine.
favorite?
Yeah,
Oh.
my favorite. Yeah, I have a poster of him on my wall. Um, I cry every night into his pillow, body pillow that I've made.
Mhm.
But yeah, should we go on to Stormtroopers, Imperial Stormtroopers?
um, Dive into it, man.
Cool. What I learned is that in addition to just like 250,000 people dying on the Death Star, 30,000 stormtroopers died as well. And these
Good.
stormtroopers were just people who had pledged an allegiance to the emperor, and they were just regular humans.
Hmm.
Nothing really special about them, but uh, it makes me wonder, like, that the clone troopers were loyal to a degree, but not. But they were ethical. They were built to
Hmm.
be to work in teams, and I think that stormtroopers and Imperial stormtroopers were far more individually loyal. Um, so that was a fun fact. 30,000
Yeah.
stormtroopers died.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it because it really is just most of those people probably just needed a job too.
Yeah,
And if all of the money is going to the empire, it's kind of where you have to go.
yeah,
But good riddance.
I know. See you later.
Yeah. Just because I can't tell them apart, I'm glad
See
that they're
see
all
you next,
dead.
trooper.
Wow. Wow. I didn't look up a fact for stormtroopers, but this one is kind of this is first order, but I never knew this, which I feel like could have completely changed the sequel trilogy. But that General Hux's father, Brendol Hux, was originally a stormtrooper that defected as one of the first stormtroopers into First Order and actually like set up the training program for the remainder of the First Order troopers.
Oh, really?
Which, if this was common knowledge, I'm sure it was probably in one of the novels, but wouldn't it make more sense for Hux and Phasma to be butting heads
Yes.
through 7, 8, and 9? And imagine that if Kylo Ren is supreme leader by the end of it, if the entire time he's trying to run his own agenda. You've got Phasma and Hux constantly butting heads over who should be running the troopers.
Yeah, because
That would have been
that
some
would have
really
been
great
amazing.
internal conflict.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to see Hux try to reclaim his like birthright of managing the training of them from birth. One of the facts I learned is that they're. I mean, I think it's pretty much common knowledge, but they were trained from birth, and they were when the New Republic was first coming to power. They respected the New Republic's borders, and if they were seen out in public, they were initially there and seen as protection for the First Order. So kind of hiding in plain sight, which I found pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been great. I think even if Hux ended up being the secret spy or whatever for the other side, I think his validation to go against Phasma would make so much more sense than going against Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a little bit about the start of the First Order troopers, I guess.
Cool. All right,
Cool.
should we dive into who we think are the best troopers in galactic history?
Yeah. You can go ahead first.
Okay, I'm gonna say hands down that clone troopers are the top of the top. They are a cohesive military team. They're ethical. When there's nothing implanted inside them. Getting those 5G nanobots.
Yeah.
And they're selfless and brave. They don't really think about danger and from an individualistic point of view, but like as a team about how can we all survive. And I think that Imperial troopers are not well trained, and I think that First Order troopers are more like psychologically scarred.
Yeah.
I think they're breeding very damaged goods. So I would have to say clone troopers all the way.
Clone troopers? Okay. I respect what you said. I went kind of a different route by giving them kind of superlatives, and I'll explain why. Cutest outfits, First Order.
Okay.
I think that they're all very clean. You look at Stormtroopers and they're very dirty. Like in all of the movies, they're scuffed up and whatever. And I think First Order put a lot of pride in their outfits.
Well, also they have their visor has this cool little, design,
And I feel like out of all the troopers,
by Fenty,
their helmets are probably the only ones that they can actually see out of.
Yeah.
Best shooters, I'm gonna go with clone troopers all the way. I mean, they killed every single Jedi, where Stormtroopers never shot anything, and then First Order they did shoot Chewie, but
that's true.
But I think the clones shot more people than Chewie. Most loyal, we talked about this. I'm going with Stormtroopers on this because it truly was. They weren't bred into it. They had more of a choice. Where clone troopers were literally made for it, and First Order troopers were kind of birthed into the program. Also, they're most loyal because literally every single clone left, and Finn left. So that's a lot more defectors than Stormtroopers, because I don't remember seeing any Stormtroopers being like, "Welp, see ya." Yeah. And then this is the tiebreaker here. So they all have 1 point for me right now with the superlatives, but the one that takes the cake is the most inclusive team is the First Order. Yes. I'm going to explain why. On average, Stormtroopers were 5'11", Mark Hamill 5'9", John Boyega 5'8", Tamora Morrison 5'7", meaning that Stormtroopers had a height that you had to be. It's not very inclusive. Clone troopers were literally clones of Jango, not very inclusive. And So with that said, I mean, automatically First Order troopers were the most inclusive of the bunch because it didn't matter. It's like if you're a
Yeah.
baby,
Well,
you're in.
they're a bunch of kids. You don't know how tall they're going to grow.
Exactly.
Um, I wonder the range of outfits that they had. Did they have like a Gap Kids for First Order Trooper attire?
Just a black onesie.
Were there plus size if you needed it? I think time's up when it comes
Yeah,
to having a range of outfits for
exactly.
clone troopers that you or
Yeah.
troopers that you took for as they were kids.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go down to Plato's Closet and get a cute outfit for the weekend, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Where's everyone going? Plato's Closet, where we buy the clothes you no longer wear and offer the best deals on gently used brand name styles for teens and young adults.
You know?
Set my blasters to stun.
It's stunning.
Mm.
But so clone troopers are incredible, but I think that First Order was so menacing. Anyone could become that, and you didn't have to be 5'11". So I'm going with First Order troopers because I truly think out of all of them, they're the most menacing and they're the most kind of fit for what they are supposed to be doing. Where clone troopers flip-flopped, they didn't have the choice to be bad people. They had the inhibitor chip, so they didn't get that
That's
choice.
pretty much
First
the
Order
only
has
only
the
reason
choice.
they're bad.
Hmm.
They're pretty ethical. They were fighting robots. It's
Yeah,
not like they were murdering Wookiees. They were fighting robots, but the only way they could make them do anything that was kind of questionable is with activating their chip. So yeah.
exactly. So with all of this said, Tim, who do you think, out of the three groups of troops, the goof troops, um, who do you think had the biggest impact in Star Wars that we know?
I would say the Stormtroopers, because the general population of the galaxy was not, in uprising when it
Hmm.
came to clone troopers being used to fight the separatists. But I think the actions of the stormtroopers, um, leading up to A New Hope, kind of galvanizes a huge portion of the galaxy to rebel against the Empire, and that's considering how evil the Empire was. They're
Hmm.
going up against a huge threat. So I think they really changed the course of history. I don't think you uh, have the rebellion succeeding without the stormtroopers being as bad as they were.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems like Stormtroopers were meant to be bad,
Hmm.
like just complete cannon fodder, just to kind of distract what else was going on. So
Yeah.
they're kind of just like the pawns in chess where sure they have some need, but everything's playing behind the scenes there. I feel the same way with that, but I think the clones had a higher impact because of them taking all this power that was spread out through the galaxy and killing all the Jedi and basically switching to Palpatine made this power vacuum just for the Emperor. And everyone feared him who crossed him. All the Jedi were dead, so there was no real balance. So I think that their uh, wrongdoings had that bigger impact
Oh,
in my
definitely.
opinion.
Yeah. They're the only ones who could have killed all the Jedi. They were
Hmm.
that good and that worked that well as a team.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you think the average person in the galaxy was aware or realize that there came a point when stormtroopers were no longer clones?
I don't know. I also wonder how many people knew they were clones in the first place.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of that stuff was probably hidden because we don't really see clone troopers around civilians in the movies.
That's
They're
true.
basically just around like the politicians or whatever. And when they are in large groups of people, they have their helmets on. So um, I don't know. I feel like it would be a lot of uh, conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah,
I
like
think there would be a
why
lot
aren't
of
they
people in the
speaking with a
galaxy.
New Zealand accent anymore?
Exactly. Well, they're different heights. Why are they
Yeah.
all? Tamura Morrison's 5'7", so all the clones are 4 inches taller
Yeah.
on average. But yeah, I think it would be pretty split. How do you feel?
Sorry. I think there must have come a time when they realized that they were no longer clones, because the clones were the heroes of the Republic, you know, and so many people bought into the lie that the Jedi had rebelled, and so you know what we see as like a terrible thing that they did was actually like praised as, you know, heroism.
Yeah.
And so when, you know, we see this in Bad Batch a little bit, you know, in the early days of the Empire, how, you know, people are confused why there's imperial occupations of their place. So I think it must slowly dawn on them that, you know, these are not the same um, clone troopers that
Droids they were looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think they would have made the connection that something had happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Another question for you, though, Tim. Why do you think Stormtroopers were so bad at shooting?
I mean, if you're talking about In A New Hope, there's a theory which I definitely kind of subscribe to, is that Darth Vader specifically wanted them to not kill the people aboard the Millennium Falcon, just so that they could go back to the Rebel base and find out exactly where it was and destroy it that way. So, but obviously that plan backfired. But it's not something that's too unusual. Like with the Bothan spies obtaining the Death Star 2 plans, that was allowed by the Empire to then set a trap for the rebels. So I think that they are a lot better than we give them credit for, and especially in A New Hope. But what about you?
Yeah. I feel the same way because I just finished up Shadows of the Empire, the novel from what's his name? Steve Perry, singer of Journey.
Yeah.
And
it hits all the high notes, I know.
Yeah. Don't stop believing. And in that, there's a power struggle between Prince Shizor and Vader where they're trying to both capture Luke. Shizor is cool with Luke being dead, but Vader still wants him alive. So any bounty hunters, anyone at all, from Vader's point, don't harm him. Don't harm any of them, basically. You know, Dash Rendar, Leia, Chewie, basically like get them all safe. And yeah, this book follows a lot of the Bothan spy trick that was played on them. So yeah, I think it was all a ruse because they were cannon fodder. I mean, there was just throw them out. If they die, they've got
literally
tons
30,000 of them on that one space station.
Yeah,
they were expendable. All of them, maybe not all of them expendable, but if they're fighting against a group of 5 people, then yeah, I think that the bigger win is finding out where Rebel base is.
Yep.
Okay, I got a question for you. We see in the Bad Batch Crosshair dealing with his behavioral modification chip, and eventually he seems to kind of overcome its impact on him psychologically. Do you think that that kind of resistance to the modification chip would have been more widespread over the existing clones?
I think so. I think that a lot of the trauma of what they did eventually would kind of struggle with the inhibitor chip. And what was the deal with Crosshairs? Did it malfunction or did he have it removed?
I think he still had it in him. at the very end of the series, but he just couldn't do it.
Mm.
So I think he was strong enough to kind of resist its own kind of power over him. And it was just a very tough thing for him to do.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the clones, and I'm sure we're going to see it in the next season of Bad Batch, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of the clones probably are able to resist it and finally be like, wow, boy, did I goof.
So wait, what did I do last night? You telling me I
Yeah.
shot a Jedi? I did
If they
shots with a
do,
Jedi?
yeah, if
Death
they,
sticks?
in season 2, if one of them does not say, boy, did I goof, then I quit.
You quit your regular job.
Yeah, I will quit my regular job if someone from Bad Batch season 2 does not say, "Oh boy, did I goof," because I feel that that's going to be a big line.
Yeah, I mean, I better reach out to Lucasfilm to make sure that happens on your behalf.
A handwritten letter. Okay, my boy's going to be quitting. Don't let him.
He's made this ultimatum.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was a good combo about all the different types of troopers out there.
Yeah, I dig it. Thanks for checking this out, and let us know in the comments below how you rank the troops from the 3 trilogies. I'm Dielawn, and this has been Tim.
May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. If that's the right way to do it.